Welcome back to the Rise Up podcast, where we empower you to live your best life. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects us all, the fear of the future. It's that nagging worry about what's to come, the uncertainty that can keep us up at night. But what if we could shift our perspective and transform that fear into something empowering? To guide us through this journey, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Dr. Emily Chen, a renowned psychologist and author specializing in anxiety and personal growth. Dr. Chen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Dr. Chen, let's start with the basics. Why do we fear the future? Is it just a natural human response?
Absolutely. Fear of the future is deeply ingrained in our survival instincts. Our brains are wired to scan for potential threats, and the unknown can trigger those alarm bells. But while a little bit of anxiety can be motivating, excessive fear can paralyze us.
That makes sense. So how does this fear manifest in our daily lives?
It shows up in many ways. Some people experience constant worry, overthinking every possible scenario. Others might avoid making decisions or taking risks because they're afraid of what might happen. It can also lead to physical symptoms like insomnia, headaches, and even panic attacks.
It sounds like this fear can be quite debilitating, but what's the underlying cause?
Often, it boils down to a lack of control. We crave certainty, but life is inherently unpredictable. When we try to cling to a rigid vision of the future, we set ourselves up for disappointment and anxiety.
That's a powerful insight. So how can we start to overcome this fear?
The first step is awareness. Recognize when you're caught in a cycle of worry and try to identify the root of your fear. Is it a specific event, a general sense of uncertainty, or something else?
And once we've identified the fear, what then?
The next step is to challenge those fears. Are they based on realistic possibilities or worst-case scenarios? Often, our minds tend to exaggerate the negative.
I think we've all been guilty of that. But how do we shift our thinking?
One powerful tool is mindfulness. By focusing on the present moment, we can break free from the grip of worry. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, and even simple activities like spending time in nature can help us cultivate mindfulness.
That's great advice. Are there any other strategies we can use?
Absolutely. Building resilience is key. This means developing the ability to bounce back from setbacks and adapt to change. We can do this by setting realistic expectations, embracing challenges as opportunities for growth, and surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
Resilience is definitely a superpower. But what about those who are facing major life transitions or uncertainties? How can they cope?
In those situations, it's important to focus on what you can control. Make a plan, take small steps, and seek support from loved ones or professionals. Remember, you're not alone in this.
That's a comforting thought. Dr. Chen, before we wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Yes. Remember, the future is not a fixed destination. It's a journey filled with possibilities. Embrace the uncertainty, focus on the present, and trust in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chen, for sharing your insights with us today. This has been incredibly enlightening.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, remember, you are not defined by your fears. You have the power to rise above them and create a future filled with joy, purpose, and fulfillment. That's all for today's episode of the Rise Up podcast. We'll be back next week with another inspiring conversation. Until then, keep rising up. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments or additional segments.